Welcome to Hat Chat Live. This is our unscripted, unedited show on Wednesday night. We have 5 rounds to go, and we're looking ahead to this weekend with 2020 vision. Although we haven't been seeing them that well this season, so maybe it's more like 10, 12 or something like that. But we'll get as close to 2020 as we can on this week's live show as we try and answer all of your questions. And as always, I am joined with some co-hosts and friends of the show, starting with Jake. He's in the car again. Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm actually out of the car. I'm wandering around a semi-regional South Australian town for the night. It's
All right.
freaking
This is like Come and
cold.
Find Jake. It's like some
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of game
yeah.
show. Yeah. Where is
I was
Jake in
about to
SA?
say we're a pretty big state. Unlike the ACT, I think you can find DC in a matter of minutes. But no, excited to be here. I might not make it for too long tonight, but excited to throw things back to 2020 by having a co-host of the ages join us for the night.
Yes, we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself. Sanch is on the show. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, mate. You said no, we're not seeing it that well, but I beg to differ because I am
you are seeing
top in most of my foes list at the moment, so I'm not going to take that slander. Bales will cop it. Bales is used to it, but I won't cop it. All right.
Let the people know where you're sitting right now, mate.
At home, mate. Pretty cozy.
Also in Jake's car.
Yeah. Waiting for Jake and the bounty on his head. 761st. So it's been a
very nice
bit of a slog to get here, but I was saying early in the season when I kept carrying a million cash over every single week, I just kept following my philosophies of making the right trades, as in bringing the right cash generators in early, and it's seeming to pay off at the moment. But yeah, I would love a week where I don't have a forced trade, as we all would.
Don't forget the old philosophy, Sanch, of not
Watch
being
footy?
present in a group chat to letting my friends talk me out of making my trades, and therefore being bad for the last 3 years. So there's a bit of a theme. Hopefully our listeners don't take too much into that.
Or you ask everyone's advice and then do the opposite. Hence, I've been doing it, and I'm ranked with 3 digits.
Here we go.
Bales is on as well. Thanks for jumping on as always, mate. Appreciate you and your commitment to the live show this year again.
Well, good, mate. Always happy to jump on. I've done another pod just for this, and the co-host that wasn't on said that Bales has done more shows than I have this year, and I was just like, well, I've heard that a fair few times. So, no, it's always good to chat fantasy. Everyone
definitely
knows
done more shows than Sancha this year. That's for sure. Can't remember the last time Sancha did a live show.
I'm listening to all Bale's content, and I'm avoiding what he says. So it's more like on the path of.
As I said, I haven't spoken to Sanch for a lifetime. It's been
we had to reintroduce ourselves.
And Sancho, obviously very excited about Spain getting up in the World Cup final. A great day for your people.
It's great. I think it was a good day for the world, apart from Argentinians.
Yes, yeah, that was quite a chaotic finish, but. We better dive into some footy before we go too far down a rabbit hole, as we often do on the Wednesday night show, kicking us off with the teams for Thursday night. Probably headlined this week by the management of Braden Cook. He's officially cooked. I mean, does that affect any of you guys? Have you still got him? That's probably the first question.
No, thank goodness.
Yeah, I know he'd still be floating around on a lot of people's benches, or maybe even sitting at an F6 still. So hopefully not too many teams getting caught out now. But the other one that's maybe sort of semi-relevant is Mark Keane out with illness as well. We know he can take kick-ins for the Crows. So potentially a little bit of a boost for Wayne Miller owners or prospective Wayne Miller owners this week if you're looking to bring him in for this nice run of matches. So they were probably the 2 things that jumped out to me. Anything else from you guys with the teams that you noticed?
I think you're probably right about those 2 things. I guess I'd give an honourable mention to our boy Noah. A little bit of an uptick potentially for him, for those looking to loop. Obviously, first game of the round. It's not looking great for my trades to be able to loop him on, because if I'm bringing in Jordan Dawson and Wayne Miller as is planned, I kind of can't tomorrow night. But for anyone that's got Noah on the bench, it'll be a nice, point bump and more likelihood for you to be able to loop him in without Mark Keane in the side.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, maybe let's touch on Miller then for a little longer. We have got a few questions about him. So maybe let's jump into this one first from Mr. Sarag. He says, going Miller and Rankin in from Holmes and either Track or Durham. He says Track's been doing his head in. I mean, I think he's been doing a lot of people's head in. I mean, I think we're ticking off those sorts of trades, aren't we, at this stage of the season?
Yeah. I'll speak to obviously Wayne Miller. I think he's a really good option. Looking at the next three, particularly being Collingwood, Essendon, Richmond, doesn't get too much better than that 3-week stretch. And we saw this obviously with Jack Sinclair obviously breaking out at 28, and I feel like it's not the same sort of breakout, but a 94 average from his 16 games. I didn't see him going this well, but he hasn't dropped a real. I think he's had two sort of scores under 80 since what we're looking at round 3. He had 2 of those low scores. So he's been fairly consistent. Yeah, exactly. And I guess he was saying that he the only reason I guess he didn't trade him at that point is he said he had way too many bullets, which I think a lot of us probably had. But I think that was a career high as well, 128 if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's a really nice option with a good run, and with all these defenders falling off. It was like every week. Like who knows if Josh Davis is going to play tomorrow night from what we're hearing. Like I'll be at the game early, so I'll let everyone know if he gets through his fitness test. But yeah, I think Miller is a good option. I like him.
A quick question for you, Bales. Or I mean, maybe it's less for you. It's probably for the group. But I guess the question for me for tomorrow night for those trade-ins is Ed Allen. What do we expect?
Jake, who are you questioning? You've just said you're questioning Bales, the group, and yourself. All right, pick one of us.
Good to have you back, Sanch. So Ed Allen tomorrow night. Where do we think he's going? Because I think I'm not expecting that to be Wayne Miller, but Rankin, Dawson, obviously a couple of the names that come to mind, and definitely highly owned and or highly discussed players this week. What's our concern there? Because we've seen a bit more of an improvement from him in terms of keeping some of our better known players to some lower scores.
I think it's Dawson's the one that I probably come to. I just feel like teams around the comp still look at Dawson being as the captain and still the best player. I know Rankin's been really good in that midfield, but I think Ed Allen, I think Ed Allen's he's quite tall. So I think it's a fairly good matchup sort of for the year, like 194 semis for Ed Allen. So I think that's a good matchup for Dawson, Ed Allen. So I think he'll go there. So that's probably just my first inkling. Sanch, DC, is that probably what you guys think as well? Or?
Yeah, I'm
I would have thought so.
I don't think there's many other straight up options. And I think, I mean, it's not super accurate to say, but who do you look at that Crows side and think who's going to win the game for them?
Dawson,
the first person everyone will say is Dawson.
It could be any of the 23 to be honest. Like they're all guns, right? Could be. No, great. Yeah, great. It's Dawson and Rankin, they're the two, right? So it's like it's a bit of a coin flip. But I think it's Dawson.
Yeah. McLeod 1991 actually has the exact same trade-ins, but he has pointed out that it's a little scary locking out trades in the first game. So bringing in Miller and Rankin. So he's asking whether he should pivot to one of Zach Bailey or Bergman instead. Is that something that you guys would be really concerned about? You go ahead with it anyway.
I've never been, even with any rolling lockout, I've never been worried about the locking in early. You're picking the best option, right? So if you pick the best option anyway and it fails on a Sunday, what's the difference to it failing on a Thursday or a Friday? That's sort of how I've always looked at it. I'd much rather it fail, but no, I went the pick that was the best option for the week than skirting away from it. He drops to 150 and I think, why was I scared? Why was I jumping at shadows?
Do you think maybe only a little different if you have no cover in maybe a line or two, then you can't deal with any laid outs?
I would say that purely depends on your rank.
Win.
Yeah, purely depends on your rank. If you're top 10, top 50, and you've got no cover, I'm a little bit worried. There's a lot of good coaches ranked outside 10K. And a lot of those coaches are just going to need to take big punts, and a guy like a Wayne is someone that I think, and even a Rankin for that matter, like Rankin we don't know is going to hold up every week, but you got to take the punt now while the good run's there. That's kind of how I see it.
I think the one other thing I'd factor in this case, we are lucky that Josh Dacos has a big question mark over his head, but we know that at the first game. If it was a different player in a different game and it was particularly highly owned and there was a genuine kind of fitness test at game time, then that would also make me feel different. But fortunately, we're going to have that answer, which will be great. So I'm in the same scenario. My basic option is, do I grab Dawson this week or Bont? I think Dawson with the run is the obvious pick, but with a slight concern about a tag and locking in my trades. That's the one reason I'm questioning that. But I'm in the same boat as these two fellas, and I definitely agree with Sanch. I think you just want to get the best players in for the remainder of the year. That's as simple as that.
All right, very good. Stefan throws this one at us and says, "Evening all, racking my brain between Miller versus Bowie." So that's the first part of his question. Any thoughts on Bowie? Is he someone you guys have considered this week?
He's your boy, DC.
He is my boy. And no, I haven't considered him. Possibly I should, but I just think Miller is a really obvious option. So I didn't really get much further than that, to be honest. So
his run's just not great. That's as simply as I'd put it. You're looking at these guys now for a 3 to 5 week play, and if you can't make a case that they're going to hit ceiling scores potentially for even 3 of those 5 weeks, then they're not a play. And if I look at their run, he's got 1 green matchup in that run, and that's round 24. So it's a no for me, even at value.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously started him last year when he was priced at 60, and he was terrific early in the season, but he, particularly the back half of the season, was still a distance off the top 8. So it's been really solid since he's come back, but has only turned up the last 2 weeks. So it's taken him a little while to get going. A lot of 80s and 90s in there as well, but I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to really move the needle for you. Whereas, as we touched on with Miller, if you can get a couple of ceiling scores out of him in these next 3 weeks, that's a really nice way to get a leg up on everyone else. Stefan then asks, as well as asking about racking his brain, he says, as well as racking my brain on the measurement of uniplanar and sport-specific trunk motion using magneto-inertial measurement units, hoping someone is able to offer expert advice. Stefan, that's kind of creepy. You found one of my research papers online. It's a little bit creepy. But I hope you enjoyed the read. You're like probably about the 6th person that's ever read that paper. So thanks.
Can you add some insight, DC? That's what he's asked for. And we don't let our listeners down on this show.
I mean, what does he want to know? It's just read the paper. It's in there. Just secrets of the universe. Yeah, don't read those papers. Incredibly dry. This one quickly from Ben says, lads, how does one win their way into the seeded leagues? Is it as simple as the highest Jake ranked coaches? I mean, the irony is that we actually have Sanch on the show this week, and this year we've named it the Sanch Memorial League, and he's still called it the Jank Ranks. So,
and there's going to be some dead coaches this year. So just hold tight.
Yes, I think, I mean, it's hard when there's such a good name for people to let go of it. I appreciate that. Much like Twitter, aka X, the league will forever be the Jake Ranks, no matter what we call it on any given year, I think. But yes, no, to answer his question, basically, however many coaches drop out, the top that many number of coaches in the Sanchez Memorial League will be the ones to take over their spots. So make sure you're in the league, first and foremost. If you don't know the league code, go back and listen to any of Nathan's rants from the first 8 episodes of this year. And yeah, hopefully have a good run at it. But yeah, good luck to those coaches who are still in the overall seeded leagues and hopefully putting on a show for the last few rounds to keep themselves there for 2027.
Just before we move on, how are you guys going in your leagues this year? How are you guys going in your leagues?
I am, I think, just outside of the 4. So it was up top for quite a while and then have slid in the back.
Bales, you've been doing the fixturing for this league as well, because I am 6th overall and 13th. I'm currently going to be relegated from the league unless I win this weekend. So, yeah, thanks, Bales. Appreciate you. And I'm going to be putting a word into Warnie and asking you to keep away from the fixturing, because if I see that you took home the minor premiership in the Fantasy Fanatics League, I think that's proof. That's all I can say.
As I said on our pod, Jake, I'll take no liability. If you want to take it up with Guesty and Co, our lawyers, then you can.
ACCC, mate. It's gone all the way to the top.
But yeah, like I'm seventh, and in Hatchet League 6, I think it's 2 games separating 5th and 14th. So it's incredibly tight. So Sancho, you go on.
Yeah, I'm third. There's been a bit of the top 4 has sort of been very similar for a while, but I've got a team here that's currently lost 3 on the bounce, so not looking good. Bit of a slide happening, but yeah, pretty tight for the top 11. There's sort of 2 games separating me in 3rd and 11th, so yeah, a bit tight, but I'll hopefully move up again this year. See how we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we love about the leagues is it's hopefully really tight competition, and that I guess is where the 15 or the 10K rule, whatever it ends up being, came from, was to try and keep it tight. So if anyone's sort of losing interest in the game or whatever, not putting the time into it, that's fine. But it's not what we want in the leagues. We want it to be really tight competition. So, but yeah, I'm 5th, so a game out of the 4. So hopefully can scrape a win this week and get the double chance. All right, this one very quickly from Has 1682 said, would you pivot Jacos to Millera, given he's got has hardest in his line for the rest of the season, gives me 70k. Yeah, so is that something you guys look at? A reasonably sideways move, obviously, but with an injury cloud and Millera's run, it might be a nice points upgrade.
I think if he's out, absolutely. Like, there's no
Even
question
if he's not
out. That I'm going to leave to the boys much more experienced than me this year.
What I find difficult with this one is, yes, he hasn't got a great run for his position, but I can still see games in this where he gets those junky little plus 30 runs in red time in a quarter. Like, Collingwood's very good at playing that dour, keep the ball off right at the end to really take the sting out of a quarter. And if Adelaide's running away with it, they're likely to do that. Geelong, they're likely to do that. West Coast, he could be anything. Who knows? And then Hawthorn and Brisbane, they're likely to try and take some sting out of quarters, where he and Houston and that Jeremy Howe backline like to have a little chip around and keep it off. So I can't see ceiling scores. I think I could maybe find someone else that you might think I have some stinkers that you could jump off. For example, I'm looking at someone like a Finn Callahan this week. I think he's all bar locked in for a tag this week, and the run isn't great. So maybe he's not going to pop some ceilings, but I know there's a tag coming up. But yeah, I'm finding it really difficult this week to look for real downside trade out options.
Very good. Well, we actually might pivot, seeing that has come up. And I know Jake is going to leave early, and he's put on his screen there, hoping we do blind rankings early. So, Jake, this week's blind rankings are actually going to be popular premium trade out options if you want to fade someone. So we're going to go with 6 really popular players that if you want to take a punt, you can flick one of them and go sideways, very much in the mold of Jacos and Millera. So as usual, 6 players, and I want you guys to rank number 1 being the player that you would most likely take a punt on to trade out of your side to get a leg up on the competition, and 6 being one that you shouldn't trade. So we'll kick off with Josh's brother, Nick Dacos. A few tougher matchups in there, potential tags coming up as well. Would you be bold enough to trade out Nick, given the season he's had?
I think he might be the epitome of Spade, because you've not used the appropriate analogy. Nathan will no doubt appear in a moment's notice, hearing you not using trade and or Spade for this DC. But I don't think I'm okay with him being 6. I agree there might be some concern, but I can't think of too many names that you'd throw in this list.
So he's got Mullen in 2 weeks, and then he's got the Hawks also in round 23 who have tagged him before. He might also cop someone like a Brady Hoff or even a Murdoch against the Eagles, and then finishes with the Lions.
Oh, right in saying that he hasn't gone below 95 all year. Is that right?
His only 2 scores below a ton was that game 96 against Freo when he had that corky and came back the week after, and then the 97 against Foss. And
And
sorry, no,
95 against
95
Geelong.
as well.
He's had three.
Sorry, 95 against Geelong, right? I think he's had no less than 28 touches in a game this year as well. So I've probably got him at like, yes, I've gone towards the bottom at like 6, 5.
Same with you, Sanj.
I cut out for a little bit there. We're still talking about Dacos. I would not be. I'd be right. He'd be right at the bottom for me. Just a guy we know what he can do.
All right, let's leave him at 6 then. You mentioned him earlier, Finn Callaghan.
Yeah, he's pretty
Yeah.
high for me.
He's out for me this week as well, Sanch. So
Yeah, pretty high for me. Like they've got not a good, but like slightly easier run to the last 3 weeks. But I think if you want to jump off now for the Sydney tag, this could be really nasty. So, how do we judge off? How do we judge off what's coming? It's got to be around the 2, I'd say.
yeah,
How do you feel
I'm
about that,
comfortable
Dale?
with 2. I don't know that there's going to be anyone that I'll have higher, but I'm hoping Hugh McCluggage sneaks in here, DC. So let's put him at 2.
You just had to wait and find out. All right, 2 for Finn Cal. Then Zach Merritt. So Hawks this week, the team he might still potentially go to. Then rolls into the Crows. Then the Cats. So possible Mullen tag. Then Sydney. And then Port to finish.
He's low because the Hawks will not tag, and he could have 400 disposals this week. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. They will put no attention to him whatsoever, and he may be out to just pump his value up to get a trade. Like, this could be nasty from Merritt. After that, I jump off though. I'm happy with a 4 or a 5, but
I was thinking 4 as well. That's my
Right.
first number that came to mind.
Yep, let's do it. 4.
All right, have it with 4. All right, so you've used 2, 4, and 6. Next one will be Josh Dacos.
I've got no
So even
skin
if
in
he
this game.
plays,
I've got no skin in this game. I'm a bit of a Jacos hater, so I'll
I think he plays. I think he finished the game out last week. I know that it's a short break, so he's been managed. I think he does play. I've probably got him at what, 3? So I'm probably thinking of somewhere
I
right
think
in
so.
the middle.
I think with the injury cloud, with the run, he's probably above Merritt, but I definitely am still comfortable trading Finn Callaghan before him, assuming he plays. Again, based on him playing, he should be a 3.
all right, 3 for Jacos. Lockie Ash,
Oh, didn't see
has-
that coming.
1 ton in his last 5 games. Very popular player, coming up against Sydney this week. Also has the Crows in there and Port as well.
Sydney's a
I've
big-
got him. So essentially go.
Oh no, you're right. But I was just going to say Sydney's a really good matchup for rebounding defenders this week. But just depends if he's a chance of getting that tag, Bales.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think he's at 5 purely because with all these defenders are falling off with all these injuries and everything, and we're looking at guys like Miller has been great, but looking at guys averaging mid-90s and actually still averaging 104.6 for the year. So I still think he's comfortably in the top 6 and sort of still top 3. So I've got him towards the bottom personally.
Bales took the words right out of my mouth. It's less of a I love Lockie Ash versus I don't know who the hell I'd be trading him to. So yeah, comfy with 5 as well. Now we're really cross your fingers and toes, boys. Cross
It's
your
going to be
fingers and
someone like
toes.
a Luke Jackson or Rowan Marshall. Who's he dropping on us?
No, the last player is, of course, no, it's not Hugh McCluggage actually this week. I've thrown a spanner. The last player is actually Naz. So you guys are saying that
Oh.
the player you should most likely trade out
Been
is
stitched
Messiah
up.
Wanganeen Miller.
That's
Yeah, I
DC
agree.
pulling from his third. He's pulling from his third list again, boys. Just to
I love
snitch us
it.
up here.
I love it. And tweet it out too, pussy. You won't.
They do have Sydney in 2 weeks, so he probably will cop another tag in 2 weeks. He might also get Finn this week, so there are some tags coming. But then does finish with Carlton, the Tigers, and the Suns. So you'd think he'd be pretty good the last 3, but could be a couple of low ones the next 2 weeks.
So just on that,
Lockie Cowan didn't go with it. Well, went with an inch of his life for Naz when they tagged last time. So who knows if that's
True.
another tag as well.
so on that Naz potential tags too, I'm actually looking heavily at Brad Hill because because I think they've got to change something up from the way he was tagged on the weekend. And if he's going to get a couple extra tags, potentially Naz is going to have to push up the ground and allow Brad Hill to be the one that's pushing those balls up to him. So don't take that out of context. But yeah, I think Brad Hill could be a good player.
Since you haven't been on, Sanj, there's been way less dick jokes. That's all I can say.
I didn't even. What? Jake. DC, can you cut that out of the love show?
Unscripted, unedited as DC says.
Exactly. Look, the man listens to my intro. All right, thank you, boys. I think apart from obvious NASA 1, reasonably solid. So Finn at 2. I'm assuming you'd probably move him to 1. Jacos 3. Merritt 4. Ash 5. Dacos 6. Don't mind it.
Where would we slot Naz into that list? Just out of curiosity, boys.
5.
5? Yeah,
probably,
below
yeah.
Ash, but above Nick.
Yeah, probably
Is
right.
there anyone else that I've missed there that's really obvious that you could fade right now?
So I have been looking at, this is my options this week and my worries. So I feel like I'm on top of a lot of the right options at the moment. It's the guys I want to jump off. So a guy like a Cal Wilkie, teams are now putting time into him. He's not getting that simple intercept mark that he was quite getting. A Nick Newman, their run to finish for rebounding defenders, not great. We've got a couple really shocking matchups the next 2 weeks. Dan Houston, I've still got. Really proud owner. He's still sitting there at D6. Luke Jackson, another option where his time on ground is significantly dipping. They're, 3 games clear now? They don't really need to ruck him for 80% of a game or run him as that fourth mid. And then a guy like a Rowan Marshall or a Petrarca, like, they feel like cushy, almost really luxury trades, but it's getting to that time of year where finding the right one of these that aren't going to be hitting those ceilings for the rest of the year, this is the time you've got to pull that trigger, but I can't work out who it is.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
the
the guys
names...
I was just going to add, like, the guys that I listed there, they're guys that are pretty much clearly best 22 or very close to best 22, whereas a few of the others there you mentioned, Sanch, probably a bit outside that, so they're kind of almost the weakest link in your team anyway. But I just wanted to see whether anyone was willing to take a punt on sort of more top-end guys.
I think on that, we aren't at a position where we'd normally be.
Yeah. Well, some teams might be, but yes.
Or some definitely, yes. But we've had so many bullets. There's going to be guys in most teams that people are happy to jump off still. Because Nathan's still got 23 rookies he's trying to field each week. Like, there's teams out there that are still maybe looping.
And Jake's got 30 red dots.
I've improved on that, DC. Don't you worry. It's been a big couple of weeks.
Teams are possibly still looping. You know, we talk about a 23rd premium, but it might just be a 22nd, 23rd mid price that they're still looping. Like, you want to almost combine that cash. So yeah, it's a weird season and a weird time in the season where it feels like it should be luxury, but it's really not. We're still forcing these trades.
Can we just pick up on one of those names there? The only name that Sanj didn't mention was Nando. That was probably the list that I had. But Jackson, I think Jacko is a really good call. Like, at what point do Jackson owners need to panic? Because it's 3 sub-100 scores. As you said, Sanj, they've pretty well locked away the minor premiership here. You know,
Jake, all I can say is, I'm panicking. I'm really panicking.
Good name. Good call.
As an owner, I'm panicking. If I'm being honest, it's
But like, is it only if he gets rested? Because like right now, you're right. Low tog managed in game is probably more likely than a complete red dot situation. So,
and my issue, so where I'm stuck, it's depending where you're listening from, derby, drabby, whatever you want to call it, this weekend. Is he rested, or do they really drum home a win against West Coast? Then he goes into Tim English, who gives away points for fun. You know, he's got 2 okay matchups. Do you run with it? But if he's going to ruck or even play 70% tog, what, am I just going to sit with 80s for the rest of the season, or do I jump off and try and chase it? Because I've got flexibility. I can realistically bring in anyone for him. But yeah, it's a weird spot to be in with
Just
it, with
the
a
other-
guy that has been such a reliable scorer.
Just the other couple of names as well, like Sam Durham's probably another one that's dropped off a bit. He's probably one that a few people might jump off of. Obviously Callahan. Then the other one I've got is LDU. Like I know that he's not very highly owned at all, and I shouldn't have got him in. I should have known everyone complaining about him and not got him. But
sounds like Bale's making a list of players in his own team he doesn't like here. That's what it sounds like to me, Bales.
Yeah, no, it is, and I
I'd
love
also
Errol
like to
Thomas,
add
no,
Cooper
man.
Harvey and Zeke Hewlin to the list.
When actually, DC, when you gave him the your Baznaz award on Monday, I don't know if did you realize he only played like 40% game time in the third quarter? He was on the bench for like 20 something minutes. Like
No, I didn't.
that could have been a ton. Like that was a good score considering.
No, exactly. Yeah, he gets it done regardless. All right, let's jump onto a few other questions now that we've deviated down the rabbit hole of fading premiums. Let's maybe touch on Max Gawn. Our friend Liam has pointed out, has asked who. No, sorry, wrong question. This one here from Taser, another friend of the show, says, hot take, despite the seemingly great matchup, Gawn versus Geelong to not go huge. And then he's followed up with his last 3 games versus Geelong have been a 95, a 92, and an 84. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, he was probably going to be my VC, I think, this week. Is that a concern with that sort of recent history?
I mean, I'm surprised you're not going to VC anyone tomorrow night. That's the first hot take there, Deese. But I probably don't peg him for a good score, like a ceiling score, so I wouldn't be captaining him. But I don't think you're trading out of him, and I don't think many would be trading into him either. So for that reason, it's kind of just it is what it is. It is almost how I'm looking at it. But yeah, I expect a ton and a low ton at that would be my initial thought.
Of the last few games, I think last year that was that game when before gather round that he was I'm pretty sure didn't he have like he was carrying a knock in that game and didn't score particularly well. And I think a couple of like the 80 odd that Taze mentioned was that I thought you mentioned DC was that I think Grundy was there. So he hasn't had too many games with being solo recently against Geelong. I think his last ton against them was actually
He might have Max Heath this week as well. That's the thing.
Yeah. Exactly. I think his last ton against Geelong was actually that prelim in 2021 when he kicked 5 goals. I think it was his last ton against Geelong. So it's been a while. But I think I looked at the Mirrors Magic DVP. Geelong last 5 weeks are plus 52.5. I don't know if I've ever seen a matchup like that before.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think he'll still either be my C or my VC. I can't see him being poor in that game one way or another. All right, let's go to this one from Matt on X. He says, "Hey, plantar fascias. I've ruptured my plantar fascia before. Would not recommend it. It's very painful. Thank you for giving me the courage, approval to make the tough but necessary trade out of Lockie Blackiston 2 weeks ago. After this outrageously luxury trade, I found myself in the vicinity of a hat. So I went into Target and bought it. It's very nice. Many thanks."
Good gear. Great gear.
That's excellent. Well done. Love it. All right. This one from Forrest says, "I'm concerned about Luke Parker's scoring now. What score would you take from a HHK to loop him on instead of a Parker?" So the Crows playing tomorrow night.
Well, this time of year, it's got to be something good.
It's got to be 90 plus, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
95 even?
I was 95. Yeah. I think it's 95 plus. Depends what you're playing for too. Like if you're playing for leagues and you run their diagnostic data on your matchup and you can see what you think the opponent's going to score. But yeah, for me, it's 95 minimum.
Yeah. The Parker's got faint, so I think you should go fairly well. I think he bounces back.
All right. Chris said, was listening to the Pod Boys talking about Tim English as an option. Would love your thoughts. And then a follow-up question from Jacob says, English or Took as a trade-in option. So a bit of DPP flexibility there for him. I mean, have you guys considered Tim English at all? I mean, Sanch, you was talking about trading out Jackson. Is he someone you'd look at?
Yeah, he was an option for me. So he comes up against Richmond this week and then 2 not so great matchups. Well, he's got Freo the week after. We don't know what they're doing with Jackson, if he's going to be wrapping up against Cox and then the Cherry Bomber. So, like, when I'm looking at matchups now, I want to look at someone with a good run. He's got one good matchup straight up. Get that nice sugar hit, but yeah, it doesn't look great from there on. After 2 out of 5 matchups are green, I kind of want to be chasing something a bit better. But God, his value. But I'd also be going there for the 3rd time this year, so don't really know if I want to do it.
Yeah,
I think the ruck trade next week is looking more like you get another week to look at English, another week to look at Cherry. Like Darcy Cameron, I think goes Geelong West Coast. I don't know if I could trade Darcy Cameron again, but he's an option there. And then like Grundy's still there. I think even Tristan Cherry's got like Hawthorn. I don't know if Reeves is still out or if he's back in a week or two. I'm not sure. But then he goes Bulldogs, Geelong, then Sydney's like Cherry's an option. So I think next week to get a bit more data is probably where I'm leaning. But in terms of Took, like do we trust Gold Coast? Like that's what they keep losing.
Nah.
They keep changing things every week. And
won a
he was
game in 3 months.
Yeah, it was the number 1 CBA mid last week, Took, and looked good. A lot of handballs though, but still looked very good. But just that could change back to like who knows who's going to be in the midfield next week. It seems to chop and change every single week. But it was a tight. I think they had 4 guys roll through last week. I think it was just Rao, Anderson, Petrarca, and Took. They were the 4, and Took was number 1. So if they're going to keep a tight midfield mix, then it's good. But they could just change it.
Can I throw a very left of field? I'm not saying to bring this player in, but the 2 dialogues tied this in. Gold Coast, Ruckman. Can anyone just throw out there, we'll go around the room, how many hit-outs Ned Moore was averaging in his last 3 games, his 3 solo games that he's just had?
I'm going to say 42 without looking.
76.
Jesus Christ.
28.
Maybe
Give me a
half
real
that.
number.
Maybe half that.
28.
He is averaging 50 hit-outs a game. 3.
I was close. I was close.
right.
you almost
Only one of us
were
went
close
over
to
50.
He is averaging, as a solo ruck, 50 hit-outs a game, the last 3. And I think he's averaging in the 90s. And I'm not saying that's the kind of trade that you bring in at this time of year, but just to real watch this space.
You've got me interested, though.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Speculative, crazy pick that no one else is doing. That's my wheelhouse.
It used to be my wheelhouse. You spent too much time with me. But no, yeah, I just think, again, I know that we have keeper dynasty players and stuff that tune in here. That is outrageous. And I think Witsy is clearly coming to the end at some point with the new ruck rules.
Would
too.
you say he's at his wit's end?
Sounds like Gold Coast might be at their wit's end, at the very least. But yeah, not relevant for that particular scenario, but keep an eye out, I'd say.
Good. Yeah. No, good shout. Don't mind it. Nick says, who to trade first, Petrarca or Callahan? So I guess this may be going back to what we were talking about earlier of having sort of an underperforming player and a player that might have a tough run coming. It's still got to be Track, right?
Yeah. Yeah, get rid of him.
Oh, I think it's Callahan.
Wow.
I'm
Big world Track outscores him this week.
I think if you can trade either of them to a mid, I'd probably lean Track. But if you're trading one to a forward and one to a mid, I think it's Callahan every day of the week. And I don't disagree that Track might outscore him this week, but I think Finn does outscore him for the rest of the year. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Lee says, we need some love for Tom Stewart, who's about to go 120 plus until the end of the season.
Hey,
then he also says, what's our honest thoughts on him, everyone except for Bales?
Mute him, DZ. Can you mute him? I did say that on the pod this week. I like all the Geelong players. Matchup in particular, no Max Holmes. I think Baz will be my VC or C, and I think Stewart, Humphreys, Grindmeyers, all underpriced based on their role and their run for the remainder of the year. So, yeah, I appreciate people get burnt in the past, but it is undeniable based on run. It is the best run for the last 5 weeks of the year. So.
Yeah, we did have someone else sort of a minute ago asking about Lawson Humphreys as well. So clearly a few people on the same wavelength as you, Jake, with the run.
Humphreys is the interesting one. 3 90s in his last 4. I can't tell you what to do, right? But from previous experiences,
but don't bring in Tom Stewart.
Yeah, don't. He hasn't turned up since round 3. Like he's like just Good player, but no, you can't. Don't do
think
it. Don't do it
he's
to yourself.
clearly well past his best, isn't he? I don't think you want to be going there at this point. Big Bondi 64 says, "Hey, Hat Chatters, currently ranked 281st, so within Hat striking distance
Nicely
from
done.
there. I would have thought. Have been climbing steadily since being 7,500 at round 10. Wow, that is a good climb
Huge
the
time.
last 10 weeks.
Solid. Well, mate.
And feeling like I'm within reach of a hat, I would agree, mate. That's definitely, and you're on a good trajectory there. Well done. It says, please debate Neil versus Bont this week for Callahan. I mean, Neil's the unique one, isn't he?
Yeah. But so Bont's ownership around that top 1%, so it's like 87% now. That's jumped up.
He's also got Richmond this week.
Yeah, Richmond. Does it depend how many uniques you've got in your side, do we think? Is it just like if you've got a few guys that are unique, you just match it with Bont?
Or even probably even more so like how good is your team? Like if he's got a really well set team, maybe a 23rd already, then I reckon you just match everyone else and let your team naturally keep making ranks. So yeah, that's a tough one though, because I mean Neil's been very good this year as well. So if you do need to go more unique, he might be a really good option. But I'd probably still be letting Bont. What's your thoughts on that, Jake? You're the doggies man.
Yeah, look, I think against Richmond, it doesn't get nicer from a matchup perspective. We're still very much, for the first time in many years, we are well behind on percentage. So we need that desperately to kind of keep up with those around us. So this is one of our two chances to do that really for the remainder of the year, just to try and secure either a home final or avoid the play-ins. So I'd expect the boys to be going out and really putting sword to the throat of the Tigers. Bont could be anything. Like when he kicked 3 last week, yeah. I think it's a clear answer for this week. Neil could compete for the remainder of the year, but if you're in that kind of position, you're really looking at the best trade for that week, as long as the run after that is still sufficient as well. So sugar hit, go the Bont.
Yeah, I think that is probably the right answer. DJLJ94 says, hi, Legends. Got 2 trade scenarios this week. Holmes and Banks to Millerat and Polkinghorne, or Holmes and Track to Rankin, and Rankin and Millerat, swapping Colby to D6 and JHF from utility in both trades. So basically, I guess getting rid of Banks and going down to the rookie, probably carrying over a bit of cash then as well, I would assume, or Holmes and Track to Rankin Miller.
Option 2. Every day.
It's time to be aggressive, isn't it?
If Banks is on your bench, are you doing number 2?
They're also the team with the best run for the remaining 5. You may as well jump on them for the remaining 5. There's no point missing a week. So.
And the one other ad I would have is Banks is playing the Dogs this week, and that style and role should have a half decent score. So he might be looking with
against the Dogs.
It still holds true, Dees.
It'll be on Jake's tombstone.
It sounds like Colby would move back in the trade where Rankin comes in. So if you can loop between the two, then that's a great scenario. So definitely with the boys on that one.
Nice. I Heart Google says mutually exclusive pairs.
Elon trying to be not obvious that it's not his burner. Right.
Mutually exclusive pairs. Pick one that scores the most points this week. Rankin and Petrarca, or Smith and Rochelle. And then in brackets he says, yes, I still have him. He's like the opposite of Irvin. I still have Rochelle. Rankin, Petrarca, or Smith and Rochelle.
I think I'm backing in Baz for a ceiling score and Rochelle to get about a 75, 80. I just don't like Track.
Yeah. I mean, Baz is clearly the highest scoring player there, isn't he? So if you get a ceiling out of Baz, it probably covers the other options.
I think so. Yeah, I think at this point of the year, get the top guy, get the one that you can potentially get a captaincy score out of as well.
All right. Mao Harley says, I don't own homes. Is it more important to get my final rookie off field or upgrade Murphy Reed or Durham?
And look, I mean, I think that's what the government was intending with the latest changes. Come on, think that one through, boys. That was a good one. Slow burn.
There's some joke about negative gearing here, but I just don't understand
Thank
negative
you, yeah.
gearing well enough to
Exactly
make
right.
a joke.
Yeah,
So-
as long as we can tie that in, then we're fine. Sorry, what was the actual question? I was too busy thinking about what I was going to say.
The question was, I don't own homes. How do I break into the property market?
Yeah, makes more sense.
No, it says, is it more important to get my final rookie off field or upgrade Murphy Reed or Durham?
Depends who the rookie is. Can we get an answer there?
Get your
if
final
you
rookie
are
off
listening, let
You
us
just
know.
don't know what they're going to pop.
It's just because technically I have Jagger on field, but I'm so happy with Jagger on field, I would trade one of the other guys.
Look,
in
I'm
front of
trading
Jagger.
rookies in at this point. So
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you can
yeah.
get a look. Maybe get a look at Hall Kahan tomorrow night as well, because Holmes won't be locked out yet. Maybe.
absolutely. Alrighty, what else we got? Just sort of scrolling back up at any questions we missed. Braddles does point out that Ed Allen went to Cozzy earlier this year, so he thinks that he probably goes to Rankin. What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
because that
about
worked really well when he tagged
Well,
Cozzy.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Because he was asked in a post-game interview who the guy went to was, and he said, "What's his name?" Yeah, no, he played all right. Did he? Because you had 30
Ellen Edwards.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Can you block whoever I said that? Hang on, I'm going to go through and see who that was. Stupid.
It was
Stupid.
Braddles, I think.
Braddles.
Question
Can't block
answer
Braddles.
extraordinaire. It's
We'll lose
Braddles.
half of our content on the podcast.
Who the fuck's Braddles?
He's coming for you, Sanj. He's coming for you.
I know he is. He subscribes.
Oh no, can't say that.
Say what?
It's good to have him back.
You explained the last joke, DC. Explain that one.
No, just going to let that one through to the keeper. Matthew says Caterpillar and Associates, that is the name of my law firm, ranked 260th with Holmes and Wilmot on the block this week. Do I move them to Mills and Millerer or Washcroft and Bailey Williams from the Dogs? I mean, maybe before we get into that, quickly touch on Bailey Williams for us, Jake. Is he someone you would consider?
No, I wouldn't. But I would say that I'm going to be devastated if he is in fact used in the trade to get Zach Butters to the Dogs. Yeah, look, I know there's been a couple of injuries, a couple of managed games, but he's had 3 sub-50s in his last 5. He's a winger. He is notably volatile, but I think he is so important to the Dogs' performance. So as a player, love him, and I'll hate to lose him, but as a fantasy player, I would not by any means consider him, particularly if you're ranked in those areas. So I think you've got to go straight bat here. Mills, I think, came up in a question on the pod during the week too. So I think there must be a few interested there, DC. Obviously, we're all fans of Miller.
Can I just, on Bailey Williams, can I just throw in that when Bailey Dale was touch and go at the start of the season, Bailey Williams started the season 103, 76, 124. I know he's still a winger, but I'm just saying that the role is definitely a little bit different with and without Bailey Dale at full swing. Plus, they've got Richmond this week and North in a couple of weeks who have been generous to rebounding backs. I'm not sure how they are for wingers. I'll have a quick look.
I think
Yeah.
I agree with you that he is so important to our ball movement that with those guys missing, he becomes kind of that next step in. And I think there's a chance he goes well, but the fact that he doesn't play within the defensive 50 just means that he doesn't have the same ceiling as Bailey Dale. I think he's underpriced, to be super clear. He is underpriced, but I just don't think, especially if you're pushing for a hat, he might be a 90 guy for the remainder of the year, and you really need to be trying to find someone who's going to give you hundreds, which Malira definitely does. Based on the
Is it a guy though that you can roll for a week as a stopgap It's not a bad matchup, the Richmond matchup, if you wanted to run a stopgap, but it just
Pretty
depends on.
expensive as a stopgap, though, isn't he?
I
Probably-
just purely mean for a 1 week play if you're, want to chase a matchup and that's what you can afford. But
If I have that price in the defensive line, and I'm keen to hear everyone's thoughts, but I'm getting Miles Bergman. I think
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, I think with Joe Richards after our chat on Monday night, DC, kiss of death, out for a month. That
All I have to do
Or-
now is talk about players that I like when they get it.
that Port
have to bring him in.
midfield is going to be decimated, and they did come out in the media last week and say he will be a mid for the rest of the year. So I would prefer, even though what he scored an 81, I
he got
think
7 tackles from 81.
yeah.
How about a Jace Berg one if you're looking at Bergman?
Yeah, you got Impy's around 780 as well. He was pretty
Jace
good.
Bergwin's 200k more expensive than both Bailey Williams. And,
8.5. They're six.
Yeah.
They're mid 600s, Dees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Just
650. If that's the price point you got to hit, then I like Bergman. Bales.
Just with Matthew's question, because he's saying what Mills and Miller or Ashcroft and Bailey Williams. Could you do something sort of like in the middle? Like, could you maybe go like Miller and like a Dunkley? Like, could you make that maybe work, or like a Miller and a Neal or something? I don't know if the price points would work. They're like maybe Roberts and Neal or something like that. Like, I don't know if Matt's question could get something in there, but I'd almost prefer Dunkley. If you can get Dunkley and Miller, I think that's a pretty good combo this week.
Do we not like Callum Mills? Just to be clear, what's he 4 tons out of his last 5 and hasn't gone below 80 since like round 5 or something outrageous? Like he's been good. We just haven't talked about him at all.
It's just that defensive role. It's just obviously we'd probably want him on the midfield, and he doesn't have much for ceiling, but obviously with these defenders falling off, these guys are coming into calculation. So I don't mind as a pod. But they've got a decent enough run, I think, Sydney.
I think they got Giants, St Kilda, and Essendon in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and Port.
North as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so comfortably the Mills and Miller option.
Yeah, I'm
But,
definitely that one out of those two. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm completely fine with those guys as the options. But yeah, if there are those out there that are needing a 650 kind of K, 700k guy, I wouldn't be reaching for Bailey Williams. Although I agree with you, Sanj, he should be fine this week. Could be a nice stopgap. Although, just might not be the top of my list.
Bradle Sanchez come back with a reply to your comment about the tag on Cozzy earlier in the year. He says, "I'll have you know, Sanch, Ed Allen put in such a hard tag on Cozzy that he only got 28 disposals, nowhere near 30, and held him to 0 hitouts." Excellent work.
Touche, Bradley S. I'll keep that in mind.
That's very good. All right. It might just go 1 or 2 more, and then we will wrap up. A couple of questions coming through about Myers. We did touch on him on the Monday pod. Yeah, I mean, is that someone that you guys would bring in? I don't think I could do it, given pick an injury cloud he's got over him. I think he's a big chance of being rested as well.
The one thing that gives me a little bit of confidence is he was asked on the weekend or weekend before about why he's not back in the senior side. And he basically said, "I'm a player, I play. The coaches are the coaches, they coach." It was the coach's decision. He kept reporting during weeks before that he was not confident in his knee, or it was giving him a little bit of strife, had this issue, and then he had 3 weeks of, I think it was 2 weeks, no issues, no pain, complete confidence. They let him do full time in the VFL, and then he came back in. A little bit different, I think, if we only found out like 3 weeks ago that he has issue. He's been running with this for a long time now. So I think they are, for lack of a better term, trying to break him and just see what happens. Just keep
break through.
Let's play with it, because we're not going to play for a final if you're not sure. So let's just keep playing and break it. That's where I kind of see him at. So I do like the option, especially with Holmes out. They got a lot of outs. They need to make something work, and they've got such a good run. But I'd maybe give it 1 more week against the Melbourne first.
Yep. Paddy says, DC the Messiah. I mean, You don't have to call me that. It is my official title, but you don't have to call me that. He says, I got questions. A, what is your paper about? And B, worth going 1 week plays from now or too early? Thinking Bailey Williams or Impey this round. I mean, as I read out the title of it earlier, the paper is clearly about MIMUs, which is basically a sensor that you stick on the body and it measures movement. And we were trying to work out how accurate that is for measuring trunk and pelvis motion, particularly during cricket bowling. So super exciting stuff. And then the worth going 1 week plays from now on. I mean, you touched on that earlier, Sanch. What are the characteristics that would push you towards going with a 1 week play with 5 weeks to go? Is it that really unique player with a great matchup, or are you looking at maybe the cheaper option that is a stopgap for a week?
So if it's a really great player, they need to have a 1 week great matchup. That's how I see it, a really huge ceiling score. If it's someone cheaper, I prefer to have maybe a 2 week option in them, just so that I can either loop them, or if I get stuck with them for a week, I'm not absolutely stuffed. Like they don't go from a Essendon matchup into a Brisbane matchup, for example, where I just don't want to have them and they're a 4 straight out the next week and I can't maybe get the cash if I needed that. So especially in a spot where we maybe don't have the best 22 we want, if you're still running 3 guys you don't really want, I mean, kind of in that boat at the moment, and the only way you can get a perfect balance in your side is by getting a best 22 guy and a slightly specky pick that, like an Impey, for example, I think is a great option. Essendon into a North for rebounding back. Amon's still out, so I don't really see why that's not a good option to just pull the trigger on if you can't get up to someone you really like for the rest of the season.
Yep. All right, very good. We'll finish with this slightly more fun one from Braddles, as we often do. He says, in celebration of the release of The Odyssey, describe your season in a single Nolan movie. And I know that Jake will enjoy this because I know he's a big fan of Christopher Nolan movies. Any thoughts on that straight away, Jake?
I mean, the Odyssey feels pretty fair. It's a 10-year voyage where I may or may not end up back home, and home is obviously where a hat is. I can name yours, but more from a fantasy career perspective, and also a movie that
Okay.
but we'll get to that. I'm going to land on the Odyssey for now, and I'll just have a bit further of thought. I can't look past that at the moment.
Nathan's is Oppenheimer, but mainly for the season where he traded in Rich Duncan.
What, and blew it up?
Yep.
Bales, how's your Christopher Nolan movie knowledge?
Well, it's decent. It's certainly not Inception because I love Inception. I certainly don't love this year.
DC's Inception because he's still living in a weird reality where he ran a hat once upon a time.
I was going to say mine was Memento because I have this one Memento from 5 years ago.
That's what I was exactly what I was going to say.
That's good.
I'd probably say mine would be Tenet because I don't understand the movie and I don't understand how this year's gone. So, and I don't understand how I ended up with Sam Taylor last year. I don't understand how I ended up with LDU this year. So yeah, I'd probably say that.
And somehow your season is going backwards and also forwards. And none of that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's round 20 for Bales, but also round 5 for Bales.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
All right, very good. As always, we will wrap up with our VCs and Cs. So thank you, everyone that's listened in live. Sanch, do you want to kick us off? Have you put in any thoughts into that this week already?
I won't lie, I haven't. I've just been completely looking at options for the week. I really like Bont as a captaincy option. So I'll probably take a really a real big punt on a VC because I think a Bont could be really good. I'm bringing more likely than not bringing in Wayne Millerer. Not sure I can do that. I don't like a lot of options this week for a VC, so give me a second. Give me a second to find something else.
All right, Bales, I'm sure you'll have something lined up. It's surely one of your Crows boys tomorrow night for the VC.
Unfortunately, no. I wish I could, but I like some of the. I'm just laughing at that question, that comment from Haz saying Interstellar is me banging on
Yes,
the window
that was
watching
really
Palace trade in Sam Taylor. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one.
No.
You can add Tom Stewart that as well. I think, at the moment I've got Baz VC into either Bont or Sheasel. I just think Baz at the MCG no tag could be pretty big. And I like Bont's got the better matchup, but I just don't know if I can go past Shees with the form he's been in. Like what's that? 6 scores over 115, and 5 of those have been over 120. So yeah, him or Bont will get the captain, but I think it's Baz VC. But I could go Bont VC and Shees.
All right. As I said, I'm probably at the moment it's on Gaunt for the VC, but there is quite a few options in that game, and then obviously tomorrow night as well. So might change it. I haven't really decided. And then I agree with you. I think Sheasel at the moment is the safest C almost. He's in a ridiculous run of form. Don't think he'll get much of a tag against St Kilda, and I can see him under the roof again, putting up another very solid score. So that's where I'm going. Sanch, any extra thoughts before we go to Jake? Or?
Yeah, it's maybe Bont's my specky into a Shees, but I just don't like much else from the start. I actually don't love Baz against the Ds, but I mean, that might be a Hawks fan being scarred every time I watch the Ds play the Hawks. We get absolutely spanked.
All right, Jake, lay it on us.
I didn't half prepare for this because I didn't think I'd still be here. But hey, boys, I've committed to you tonight. Don't forget that. Unlike Nathan, who apparently has many better things.
We
to
did
do.
the blind rankings early and everything for you.
I know, and I think I
you just can't wait.
The...
You just want them early in the show. You actually had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I've made it up. I've driven far away just to make you put it early. I couldn't wait. Yeah. No. I think the faith you did in terms of bringing that early made me want to stay on. I can't believe no one mentioned Nick Dacos. I know that the Crows are a tough matchup, but it's outrageous that we haven't mentioned the man who, again, has only gone, hasn't gone below 95 and has only gone under 100 2 or 3 times. Obviously has the capacity and capability to go absolutely crazy. So interesting that he wasn't mentioned. He's not my VC at the moment. My VC is Baz. I think he is the best option in that game. And I think without his Bash brother would just create even more opportunity for him. So I really like that one. I'm fading all rucks this week from this. I just think that the matchups aren't amazing and there's question marks around all of them. Obviously, Grundy's form has been poor. Jackson manage-ish. Tim English was a defender 2 weeks ago. And then Max Gawn with Max Heath.
Gawn has the easiest matchup.
But with Max Heath and again, this is one of those hard things that on paper they've been an easy matchup, but some of the big names just haven't needed to compete as well against them because they just play, I guess, differently. Like the style shifts somewhat. So the biggest names haven't actually taken advantage of that for the most part. So with the dual ruck, if Max Heath is named again, if he's not named, you probably have to throw him in the mix. But for now, he's not in my list. I guess a couple of other guys, Bont could be absolutely anything this week. Sheasel, that you already mentioned, should be good as well. So no unique names, I don't think, to throw out this week, but I would be fading the rucks. And Nick Dacos is probably the one that I'm surprised no one has mentioned. Could be a very interesting play if he's going to go in with a low VC percentage tomorrow night because he is the guy that's capable of anything.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be low. He's definitely in consideration for me as well. May well end up on him. Just
one of the few weeks where I genuinely could see majority of captains locked in by Friday night. You know, you could easily go a Nick or Dawson into Baz or Max Gawn tomorrow for a lot of people. Or I agree, Shees is the safest VC. I probably think he's the kind of guy that if you just want to lock in a 120-ish, I feel more comfortable there. But I think this week there's a couple of guys who could put up absolute monsters. So I reckon for those chasing like me,
might have lost Jake there.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, I think
wandered around
that's
South
out.
Australia into a tunnel.
And there he goes.
He's gone. All right, bye, Jake. That is pretty much our show, though. Anyway, so I think we pretty much got the gist of what Jake was saying. Put the VC on Nick Dacos, apparently. So that's his move. But thank you, Sanch, for coming on. Lovely to see you, mate.
Thank you for having me. And I do apologise, Braddles. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Bales, you're still banging on the window, telling yourself not to trade in Sam Taylor. But thanks for coming on.
Yes, I am certainly indeed. But thank you for having me on, and good luck everyone this week.
Yeah, and thank you to all those people who listened in live. Thank you if you're listening back to this recording as well. Come and join us next week on YouTube as we do it all again. But we'll, of course, see you for the Monday pod as well. So good luck this week. Round 25 rounds to go. Hope you nail your VCs and Cs. Hope you nail your trade-ins. And we'll talk to you next week. See ya.